Hey boys and girls, it's Night Stalker here. Welcome along today on my short video about the upcoming season discount troops. What the hell are you talking about, Knight? Well, check it out. Every season you're going to get the challenges that unlock all of the previous seasons. So let me just show you that real quick, unit challenges. If you go up here, you'll see currently in this season, season 7, the difficulty is reduced for season 3 unlocked troops, and that was all of these guys, which is probably why you're seeing a lot more of them around. But next season, it's moving on up to the Blood of the Empire ones, which is your Janissaries, your Iron Pagodas, or your Azaps, if you prefer to call them that, Royal Janissaries, or Silahdars, if you're in that part of the world. The Spahks Cavalry, or the Sipihai, or Sipihai, or wherever you pronounce those. I call them Sippy Cup because they're tragically bad. And you've also got these couple of dingles down the side here as well, which will give you a whole bunch of bits and pieces that you can add to your collection or use happily. You get this amazing show muscle animation too, which is really fantastic. You should totally get that. But anyway, the point is that next season, in Season 8, these troops are all going to be a lot easier to get to finish all of these challenges. So I'm going to do a short video on them today to show you what these units are all about, and you can decide if you want to get them yourself. Let's move on to our first unit. Okay, so before we see what these units do in battle, let's have a quick squiz at what they're doing here. So here is the first unit, one of the first two units that you'll unlock in the Season 4 Blood of the Empire. So, Janissaries. What's good about Janissaries? They have a very slow rate of fire comparative to other ranged units, but they do quite significant damage. Those are big bullets. So don't underestimate them. And they're very good at killing heroes. If you are the closest target to this unit, you can put your head between your legs and kiss your booty goodbye, because they will murder you. I don't care what you are. You're a longsword with your shield up, you're dead, man. These guys, if they get you at point blank, they will absolutely kill a hero. And even at moderate ranges, say hard to measure it in game, but let's call it 20, 30, 40 meters, they'll still kill people quite happily within sort of a short crossbow range. They have very bad mobility. They're slow, and they must set up before they can effectively fire. This little sticky thing here, that thing there, what would you call it? A monopod? By today's standards, it probably has a flash term from back in the day, but I don't know it. But they must set that up before they can fire. So you can often catch them off guard and things like that by moving peasants into them or something, because they can't just turn and walk away. They've got to pack down as well as set up. Some of their abilities, let's have a look here. Hold position. As you can see, it's pretty good. You're going to get 15% fire speed and accuracy over time. So once you're set up, it gets a little bit more accurate over time, up to a maximum of 15%. And these larger bullets, that's great. Once you're set up and you start firing, they'll periodically stun enemies. And it says it sort of here, the matchlock barrier. Don't forget, these will be localized too. Some of these names and things will be different on your server. There are lots of different localizations for this. As you can see, I don't use this unit much. I don't personally like it very much because it's not mobile and it's not dynamic. But you see quite a few of these on the battlefield, and if you've seen the Parvi's crossbow and you want to move to those later, these guys are a great sort of lower tier analog for that, because they're slow, they're brutish, and they do massive damage. So, you know, in those sort of terms, they're really good. I don't think there's anything else we have to say. I can't really show you their stats because mine are not elated. Azaps, also known as Iron Pagodas, depending on your localization. As you can see, I play the hell out of mine. I've been playing this unit a lot lately because it absolutely destroys berserkers. And if you know it's just you versus the berserkers and nothing else involved, you'll kill them with no casualties. These guys are berserker slaughterers. It's fantastic. So of course I've been playing them a lot lately. I like the bottom veteran line because I like the what do we call it here? We call it quick strike. Somebody on the European server, for example, might call it on watch. And you can see the stats down the side there of a maxed out Iron Pagoda unit. Some of their abilities, Blood Surge, that's pretty good, man. When you start attacking, you'll take 12% less damage. Really, really effective, especially when used in combination with their counter-strike stance. They're impassioned, so once they start climbing a ladder, they get to the top, and for 8 seconds after they're at the top off the ladder, they're going to get massive defense bonus. So you can send them up I probably wouldn't feed them to heroes at the top of the ladder, you know, more than one perhaps. If they're a low damage hero like a short sword or something like that, or a long sword, you can probably push up into them. But any lesser units tend to get completely overrun by these guys when they climb the walls. Just, you know, don't push them into a glaive or anything silly like that. You know, they're still going to die. Don't push them into Silahdars at the top of the ladder. It's not going to work for you, you know. Fireproof armor is not very special these days. Most units of this tier have it. They take less burn and fire damage, and they're shield fighters, so they take slightly, and it is only slightly less damage when they're shot by ranged units. Their abilities, this one is a doctrine, so don't worry about that. You'll have to get that yourself. This one, Quick Strike, also called On Watch, makes a multi-attack, and it's kind of like an instant, does the damage and that's the end of it, like snap your fingers and it's done. So you do that, and boy, do they kill stuff in range. If you surround a hero and do this, it'll instantly kill them. You push into a unit of berserkers, you'll instantly kill them. There's some things like paladins and stuff which will resist this thing, but anything without a shield, generally you'll absolutely slaughter with this ability, and it's fantastic. Counter attack is really good. It lasts for a little while. You put it on, you push it into a unit, especially say Fortebrachios guarding a door was something that you might like to use that on. Or if you're getting charged by cavalry, surprisingly, quite a few of them will survive when you're doing this counter attack stance, because what happens is they completely discount the hit, and then they also deal a hit to the enemy. They still attack while they have this as well. And of course you've got your standard charge, and these guys' charge is quite effective. It's not paladin level effective, but it's quite good. It's better than serfs, right? I don't think there's anything else. There's the stats, there's the doctrines I'm running on them. And let's move along now to the Royal Janissaries / Silahdars. I love this unit. Boy, oh boy, do I love this unit. Is it a very strong unit? Is it a super effective unit? Well, they're 350 leadership, and they've never come down from that for a very good reason. When you first walk this unit into the enemy, and you hit 2, and then you hit 1, they just delete units, utterly delete them. The damage is outrageously strong. They can walk up to a shield wall and wipe it. They're just fantastic. But they don't do well in long protracted combats or when they're overwhelmed, because once you've popped off your 2 abilities, they still do very strong damage, but they have a slow attack speed. You can micro them, but they have this little thing here, where is it? This one here, where you'll generally want to keep them in the cover commander mode, and they form a very tight circle around you, and they push things away from you. And when they do that, they reduce the damage of the things that are pushed. I tend to bring them with me and charge using my Clash of Shields, because I'm playing Longsword a lot, and they just push the enemy unit, make them all do less damage. And then you're going to pop your Cleave, or whatever it's called on your server, because that will take down shields, wreck blocks. It will just do a massive amount of damage. And even though you've got the high probability to redo it for the next 8 seconds, and it is quite a high probability, it's about 1 and 3 attacks for the next 8 seconds will be another Cleave. I tend to do that to take out the shield wall or the blocks and go straight into the swipe, which does a wider swing, and it just does absolutely monstrous damage. And let that tick over until the cooldown on Cleave comes back again. They have advanced armor, and it says that the armor plates on their chest and back can flick off arrows. I don't know, man. It doesn't seem to do a lot. I wouldn't rely on this. Some bounce off. I imagine if you're hitting the model, it might. If you hit the chest or the back of the model, it might ping off. But it really doesn't seem to block as many arrows as it might kind of suggest. As they attack, they take 20% less damage. Now that's really good, and it's really important for this unit, because once you've popped off your abilities, it's very easy for them to get overwhelmed. You don't want to leave them in a sustained combat too long, and you don't want to get overwhelmed, because they will delete stuff, and then what will tend to happen is heroes and other units will jump on you in your cooldown period. If you're facing any veterans, they will not come near you until you've popped your abilities, because they instantly delete anything they touch, right? I don't care if you're paladins, I don't care if you're berserkers, I don't care if you're some sort of tier 5 cavalry that's managed to get yourself caught up somehow. You know, they'll die in a charge, don't get me wrong. But yeah, they'll utterly delete anything that they touch when they're popping off those abilities. But once that's done, you're extremely vulnerable. And Pillar and Flames is the same as Fireproof. The 3 formations are actually pretty good. I don't tend to use a defensive formation, but if I'm pushing them into a formation of enemies where I don't want to go in myself as a hero, this half moon formation is good because they're all facing the right way, and then you pop your 2 abilities. In terms of their stats at level 30, there they are there. I tend to go the bottom veterancy line because it makes them a lot tougher. On the bottom veterancy line, you can get hit a couple of times by trebuchets and not die. Okay? That makes them tough, and they absolutely do not need more damage. Their damage output is outrageous, which is why the 350 leadership, right? The other thing that they get that I would not normally talk about is they get these 2 what do you call them, doctrines at the top. You get the assist and the plate mail. They take 50% less range damage, which is fantastic, and the other one is they move 10% faster when they're moving towards you, and that I believe there's actually a movement bonus when you are using the loyal guard as well. But they all combo really well, and this is a very strong unit if you use it well. 71% win ratio with it. Yeah, let's move along to the next one. What we call on Frontier is called the Spahks Cavalry, but you probably know it as the Sipihai Cavalry if you're playing on EU or North America, and I love to call these guys Sipihai. Veterancy lines, again, I don't play a lot of cavalry, as you could probably see by my barracks there, and Tier 4 cavalry in general is not up to scratch. You know, the lower tier cavalry are good for their leadership, the Tier 5 cavalry are absolute brutes, but the Tier 4 in the middle just it lacks something, except the Armiger Lancers. They're pretty damn good, right? So there's some stats of a half-leveled Spahks Cavalry, Sipihai Cavalry. You can see that their defense is not particularly strong. What do we got here? So you got the Impregnable. What this means is the first time they take damage in combat, for a little while after that, they'll take less damage and they'll get a little bit of a movement buff as well. Courageous, they deal extra damage to warlords when they activate the Battle Stomp. Now, Battle Stomp I'll get to in a minute. Once you kill a warlord, you'll do 30% more damage to more warlords. These guys are not going to be killing a lot of warlords, I tell you. It is possible if you surround them and stomp them. Flame of War and Fireproof Armor seem to be the same thing. Just the old Fireproof there, take less damage from flames and burns. They have the standard charge, although it's called Burst in this localization. And you get Battle Stomp. Now, this works a lot similar to the Liao's number 2 ability. I can't remember its Landslide or Devastation, but it just whomps everything around them in a very short radius. So you can move your unit in, use Battle Stomp, and it will generally quite do a lot of damage. You know, once you get them up, I've seen people do them at max level and just absolutely wipe units or kill warlords. But I tell you what, some of the Tier 5 cavalry does it a lot better. The main benefit of this over some other ones is that they do blunt damage. Where are we here? You can see here. So that's quite important. But I don't think there's anything worth special enough to be taking this unit into battle. It's up to you. Give it a go, especially if you're a bit of a unit collector like me. Anyway, now we've done enough talking about these units in the Season 4, Blood of the Empire. Let's move along now to the training room where I'll show you some short clips of the units performing against the PvE, and then we'll show you some of each of them in battle. Let's move along. Okay, enough mucking around. Let's take these Janissaries in and let's see what they can do. I'm going to move them here, and when they're in position, I'm going to hit the 2 key to make them set up. You can also make them set up by just starting firing using your 1 key. Like this. And let's see how they do. These big bullets do lots of damage. As you can see, not super accurate, but when they hit, oh boy, do they do a lot of damage. And they work pretty much like any other musket. You use 1 to direct their fire. The only obvious difference is that they set up. So you use them a lot like the Bavese crossbows. You hide them in places where they're not trebable and are defending a point, and just let them do their work while you go off and do your hero-y stuff. Let's go have a look at the Azaps. Okay, so Azaps are a fairly typical sword and shield infantry, shock infantry, which just means they're a sword and shield unit that does a charge. The notable difference for these guys is that they have the 2 extra abilities that make them very, very good. The first is the number 3, their On Watch or Mega Strike of some description, and as you can see, it just deletes units, or you can press number 2 and that will mean that they go into the Sea Little Guardian stance you've got there. Every time they get hit, they have a chance to completely discount the hit and then parry and counterattack, which is why it's called counterattack, right? Don't worry about that number 4 ability. That's a doctrine, and you won't have it unless you get the doctrine, Iron Sides. Let's go now and have a look at the Sipihai Cavalry. Okay, so the Sipihai Cavalry are again a fairly typical cavalry unit. Get them up into a nice big block, you can rove them round all you like. They're fairly responsive, and they work like most others, where you give them a charge. Get them moving towards the enemy, give them a charge, but then you hit 2, and they battle stomp. And much like the Laos landslide, I think it is, devastation, one of the two, the one that's not a shooty one, the one where they just swing and kill everything in range, they will do just that. As you can see, it is nowhere near as effective as the Laos Rangers one is. Ta-da! Let's have a look at the Silahdars. Okay, so here is the Tier 5 Beastly Infantry. It's the most expensive unit in the game in terms of leadership, and there's a good reason for that. Let's have a look. I'll show you how to use this twice. The first one is that I'll use their Warlord cover commander. Watch how they just push units out the way and just absolutely will just walk through them. If you hit the 2 key, delete. Hit the 1 key, anything left is just slaughtered. You see how they keep doing those attacks long after the ability is gone. The next way of doing it is to use the F2, the half circle formation, to move them in. So if you're a light hero like a dual blades or a short bow, something like that, you can still use this unit effectively. We get ourselves archers. Oh well, whatever. They'll die just as effectively, and you just move them in so that all of your Silahdars are facing the right way. There's a light unit, so I'll hit 1, and they just absolutely delete everything. Hit the 2 again if you like. That's the big shield breaky, extra damagey one. And you see that. See how often they keep using that that cooldown ability, whether it be the cleave or the swipe. They actually have a very high chance of reusing it within that 8-second window. Let's have a quick look in battle. Anyway, boys and girls, that pretty much sums it up. I'm going to leave you now with just a little bit of gameplay from each of the units in order. And hey, I hope you learned something new, or you just enjoyed the video. Thanks for coming to my channel, and enjoy these very smooth, very, very choice gameplay footages. Have a great day.
Get into position. Form up. Form up. Attack. Get into position. Form up. Units, assemble. Spread out and attack. anche la vita in asta!
Stand ready!
Per arricchirmi! Do anche la vita! Sembro un macello! Andiamo via! Per arricchirmi! Do anche la vita! Dai!
Bağlılığımız sanadır. Troppo in avanti, fateci stare troppo in avanti.
Close up!
Kılıçlarımız hizmetinizdedir.
Sicuro? Sicuro. Non fateci stare troppo in avanti, troppo in avanti. Non fateci stare troppo in avanti. Sicuro. Sicuro. Sicuro.
Close up! Break formation! Attack at will! Close up! Attack at will! Close up! Close up! Attack at will! Close up! Units, assemble! Close up! Close up! Wipe them out! Attack at will! Break formation! Close up! Form up! Close up! Attack at will! Attack at will! Form up!
Düşmanlarımızı yok edelim. Bağlılığımız hakidir.
Units, assemble! Get into position!